And good afternoon. It is Wednesday, May 28th, just past 1:30 p.m., and it is our monthly segment where we catch up with the Newport School Superintendent Colleen Burns Jermain, joining me back from his month off.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, Frank Prosnitz, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Excellent. And we are joined by the superintendent just before our last talk before school is out.
Yes, I think it is. We're out June 20th. So I think we speak, we get together the following week. That'll be our moving week. So,
okay.
Yeah. So we'll be we're getting down to the bare bones around here. So there you go.
Exciting. It's an exciting time.
Yes. Welcome back, Frank. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. So it was interesting because I was in Savannah when last you spoke.
Okay.
And it's a great historical city. And I, not that I spent a lot of time, but there are two historical cemeteries in Savannah. One very large and one that's much smaller but more historic. But Nathaniel Green, who has homestead in Coventry, died in Savannah, and his he was buried in one of those cemeteries, and then his body and his son's body moved to an area where they have a monument for him. And then there was, I can't remember his name, there was an artist who came from Newport. And at 17, he left Newport to go to Providence and eventually to England, became a fairly significant artist of small works, ended up going down to the South, knowing he was ill, went and visited a relative in Savannah where he died. And he was buried in this cemetery. He was all like 27, 29 years old. But it was interesting to look at that history and see the connection between Rhode Island and Savannah. And there were a lot more not quite as noteworthy people who were buried, but interesting.
Mm-hmm. Frank, I'm going to. You wrote a story about that. I'm going to drop it in the comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other thing I did in the weeks, I did another interesting tour in New York City, a boat tour, an architectural tour on the water, 3.5 hours on the water in the Hudson River, really getting to see some of the architecture and things. That's my interesting time off. So,
that sounds like you had a great time. That's wonderful. You got to see the country and everything. Yeah.
It's very good to be able to clear your mind a little bit and be able to do those things. I want to start where we probably left off, where Ryan probably left off last time, and make sure there's so many things that are going on in the schools right now as you head towards graduation. Well, let's talk about those and some of those things that are coming up.
Well, let's see. We have a lot of good things going on. Honors Night is tomorrow night, 6 o'clock for the Rogers students. They get to receive the acclamations and awards for all their hard work. The spring concert is also tomorrow night at Thompson Middle School. And then on Friday night, we have the Pell Spring Fest, where the families will all get together outside for, just a celebration of the end of the school year with families and students. And then on May 31st, the governor is holding a special event that is on a Saturday. It's 9 to 12, and that's up on Eddy Street in Providence. And that's all about math. Math matters. And it's a math extravaganza. So they're kind of having a fun day with that. And then next week, we have more music coming our way. That'll be with the, the Rogers High School Band. They'll be performing at Thompson. And that'll be, I believe, on Monday night. And then on May 31st and June 1st, with our Middletown cohort, our drama club will be celebrating their spring fling musical, and that's called, I think it's called Hadestown. And it's May 31st and June 1st, 7:30 on Saturday night and 1 o'clock on Sunday. We're doing a matinee. And then June 20th is the last day of school. June 12th is graduation, so we're looking forward to that at Topa Field. And then August 22nd is the ribbon cutting for the new high school. We're on track so far. We have all the inspections, the reviews, the painters, last minute details are going on, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that all our inspections pass for the new Rogers High School. And if it comes to fruition, then next Friday, the keys of the new building will be handed over to us. And we will start and continue some of our moving that we've already started to take place over into the new school. So there's really a lot going on. We're all very excited. We've had, what's that?
In the fall, the new school opens.
Yes, it does.
And this never-ending journey has a destination.
Eventually, we'll get into the new school, and then the demolition of the building I'm actually in right now will begin in the fall. So the old Rogers High School will be, they'll go through the demolition process, and we're hoping to have that all squared away by the holidays in December of 26 and 25, I'm sorry. And then in early 26, by April, we'll have all the landscaping done and trees planted and everything in the works. So that's going on. It's very exciting. We had an in-house award ceremony last Thursday, and Brian Colahan, he's one of our science teachers, he received the Presidential Award in Math and Science over here at Rogers. So we're very proud of Brian, and he and his family came and surprised him. The Pell Rangers, they were celebrated by the State House, Lauren Carson, and the DEM. He used to head Ocean Access, McLaughlin, I can't remember his first name, Dave McLaughlin, he now heads that. He was there. So we had the Recycling Rangers, they were recognized. Secretary of State Award, we had two of our students, Hannah Conroy and Kira Parsons. They both received Secretary of State Award. We have a Pell students had a video call with Skipper Rosalind Cooper, part of the World Oceans Day event. Grace Rochelle, she really did us proud. She always does us proud. She'll be a future Notre Dame student, but Grace actually was at Memorial Day ceremonies with the governor and all, and she read her award-winning VFW Voice of Democracy essay, and she also attended Washington, D.C. about 3 weeks ago, and she met with the 50 other contestants nationwide that won their respective state awards, and she was able to attend a leadership role down there. So Grace is our Rogers High School senior class president, a very dedicated athlete. She's a heck of a tennis player, and she'll be heading on to Notre Dame in August. So we will miss her. Portrait of a Graduate in our strategic planning work is underway. We've really come a long way with that as far as implementing the work that's being done, making sure we're focused on instruction, curriculum implementation, and we're also looking at the different core components of leadership, ownership of learning, student voice, career and college readiness. So in our teaching, we're trying to focus on that. We've had over 560 classroom observations just from the administrators, and we'll continue that work. The budget, still in flux with the budget. Right now, we have about a 906K gap, and that's considering we get the full award from the city local appropriation and the state. We won't know more on that until June. And we're waiting for the city to put the budget back into discussion. It was tabled at their last meeting, and my understanding is tonight, I think there's a resolution to try to bring the budget back so there can be more active discussion on it. And
when does that have to be finalized?
Typically, it's finalized in June so that they can get the tax bills out and they can notify everyone of their allocations, but just for planning purposes and most importantly for our taxpayers and citizens of Newport to get all the information out to them on what the actual tax rate will be and taxes will be going forward. So I'm not clear how the city is going to address that. going forward. I'm sure I'll know more tomorrow after tonight's meeting. But that's where we are on the budget. And Rogers is
Let
still
me stay with that for
celebrating oh, sorry.
Let me stay with the budget for just a second.
Okay.
So, has the city approved a bottom line on the budget?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So the $906,000 gap represents what? Between what
our school budget.
What the school budget has been proposed and what?
We have a draft school budget that has presently, even after we had to do some layoffs last week, after the layoffs, we have a $906,000 gap. So Director Gant.
Is that a gap for this fiscal year or for the budget proposal for next fiscal year?
For the budget proposal for next year. This year, we're getting through.
Balanced. Okay.
Yes, we're balanced. We're getting through. So, so going forward, we still have some work to do. And the Director of Finance and Administration last night, Executive Director, we were talking last night. We're actually looking at some lines. We may have to consider reducing those lines and hoping to be able to manage it better and keep our fingers crossed as far as different areas in the special ed instruction area. So out of district placements, things like that.
When that gap is resolved, will that mean that the budget for next year is level funded or is an increase over this year?
The request to the city is a 4% increase over last year's allocation. Okay. And then when and hopefully we receive that. And then when we internally figure out a way to resolve the rest, because based on the layoffs and reductions I've done already, I really don't foresee how I can go any further. We will internally on this side of the house have to try to manage some lines and see if we can, December, January, see how we're doing on that. So that's what I mean. We're looking at different costs such as transportation out of district, tuitions. We're looking at different lines right now to see if we can go back and fine tune with our pencils, our budget.
When you mentioned layoffs, how many layoffs were there?
So I believe we had 12 layoffs. And the reason I pause on that is, so we had 12 layoffs, but we also have 1 year only positions. So for the 1 year only positions, I believe I had about 13. So I had about 24 in total. So 10 of those layoffs were permanent layoffs, like most likely based on budget and financial situations, restructuring, those positions won't come back. The other layoffs were 1 year onlys. Those positions I will be bringing back.
Okay, so the 12 layoffs usually in I think it's in June, is it, that school systems will notify teachers of potential layoffs? Is that what we're talking about? Or is this something different?
And we have to notify before June 1st. So the committee met last week. They voted on the layoffs, so we've already done that. Now what Newport is in the middle of doing is we will hold next week our job placement program, which it used to be called Job Fair. And our teachers that were displaced, because we had many displacements due to our settlement. So we have about, I think, 51, 52 displacements, which for a teacher, that means you have a job, but you're going to need to come to the job placement program event, which is next Wednesday. And then you put in whether you want that job or not. A lot of, I would say, great majority, I'd say 90%, almost 95% of those that were displaced most likely will wind up in the exact same jobs they're in today. But this was part of the settlement that we had with the TAN, when the school committee and TAN sat down and got together and had the settlement drawn up.
Has that settlement so far gone smoothly?
Um, we have had several meetings. We're just planning on it, interpreting it, and it appears to be going smoothly. And it appears that hopefully we keep our fingers crossed and Wednesday comes and everyone is relieved and they know where their job is, what they're doing, etc. So we're keeping a positive attitude about that going forward.
So allegedly it's going smoothly.
I've learned in my old age never to just say, oh yes, it's going great, because I had some shockaroos this past year. So there you go.
We always learned that in journalism, that you were never definitive unless it was really, really engraved in stone, if you will.
Right.
But
right.
often you because you get burned too many times when it's not there. I have there was a program that caught my eye when I looked through your last letter. I believe it's your last letter, and this Rogers GSA Students Help Homeless Youth. Tell me about that.
That's a group of students here at Rogers, our GSA group, that selected a topic that they were interested in, and they decided to collect donations, work on food, and I think clothing's involved in that as well. But just to be able to have, if my memory serves me correctly, so they got together.
Yeah, looking here, it says they were providing underwear, deodorant, and pride care packages for 16 residents, containing toiletries, snacks, stickers, self-care items, and personal notes of encouragement. And that was for I can't pronounce it. House of Kodak, is that what it is?
Kodak, yes. It's down on Thames and Marlborough Street, corner of Thames and Marlborough and Newport.
And these are for 18 to 24-year-olds.
Yes. So they're little care packages. We also have been very active, especially with we'll be relocating Jean's closet. Well, first, before I go into that, I'm very proud of the students. The students got together, they decided they wanted to do that, and I think that was a great effort on their part to help the community.
Amazing,
yeah. They chose a community partner and they decided to help support them. Jean's Closet, which is something, a food bank we have over here at the high school, will be relocated over to the now NACTEC building. And we'll be moving that out in 2 weeks. So what we're doing is, for the last 2 days of school, we're putting together a lot of care packages, food deliveries, and we'll be chaperoning those around town on the last 2 days of school to go to families in need. So we'll be helping there. We'll clear that closet out, and then we'll open up the new operation in the NACTEC building starting in late August, early September.
Another program that caught my eye was this climate resiliency challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it was 9th grade students who were creating some of these climate resiliency exhibitions. I'm looking off at I printed out the piece. But they were creating projects that were, if I read right, that were creating solutions to help Newport and the greater Rhode Island area, which I thought was pretty incredible. And third place was, this one sounded fascinating to me. I'll try to read the names. Kayla Cutter and Charlotte Rochelle. I could get that one. With their ocean proximity housing rules. And I want you to elaborate maybe for me in a minute. Then Gabriel Borges and Hunter Boast, second place, with an oyster breeding farm solution. And then first place was Kelly Puller and her hydroelectric filtration building. Can you tell me more about those?
Not as much as they could. Yes, the fair overall was a great event. Elizabeth Letourneau and Bethany Bargetta, the teachers got together and they got the grade 9 students together. And resiliency and just sustainability was a topic they gave the students. And as you can see, especially for Newport, I believe the third one had to do with ocean and proximity of housing, and they have to watch for climate change. So they actually mapped out, I can't tell you in detail, they're the ones you really should talk to about it, but they really put a lot of thought and in the areas of the city that they felt needed to really consider where they build, one builds one home, etc. The oyster farm, I believe it's oyster farm, they were about resiliency, how we can look at different food sources surrounding Aquidneck Island. And then the first one was first place, what was that?
A hydroelectric filtration building.
Yeah, that one I can't tell you the details about that. If I had to guess, they were using the water and how they could sustain having the availability of water resources. But again,
these are ninth grade students, all of whom are much smarter than I am.
Yeah, they come up with some really great ideas. They really, really do.
It would be great, and we can talk offline with this. I'd love to be able to talk to these kids and learn more about these programs. I think it's incredible. Again, some of these things are terrific, helping homeless kids and then creating solutions for situations within the city. I don't think you can ask for much better than that.
No, you can't, and that's what we're trying to do with our Portrait of a Graduate leadership, taking hold of one's learning, creating opportunities and real world responsibilities as far as working in your community and how you can provide solutions. So no, they did an amazing job, and we're very fortunate with the different programs, our teachers, because it takes our teachers to want to implement this. And so you read the article, and the middle school teachers read the article, and actually the students went up to Melissa Turner's class, the 5th graders up at Thompson, to share their experience, to share their projects. And they were very impressed by the high school students, the 9th graders, and the 5th graders. It added some excitement for them when they go over to the high school and the things they'll be learning and being able to do. So it did ignite a bunch of sparks as far as creativity and what to do next.
Pretty amazing. And then another program you've got, just curious how that's going, the Cell Phone Free Fridays.
Yes. Cell Phone Free Fridays every Friday for the remainder of the school year, because when we enter the new school building, cell phones will not be in use, and students are going to have to give up their cell phones when they come into the schools next year. So we have them practicing. We don't have a large number, I'll say, at this point. I think we have only about 50 or 60 students on a regular basis that are doing this, but we are getting some interesting feedback as far as how was it, how did it feel, what struck you the most about not having the phone, and did you feel you needed it? So we're asking them questions like that, but we are trying to get more students to participate in it, and staff is participating as well, because we've had staff that have wondered about it as well, and we've said, the expectation is all of us are going to be expected to, all cell phones put away if you must use them. If you're a teacher, an adult, it's going to be done in private, not in front of children. And we'll see how it goes. But we know Middletown is their policy. We copied and looked at their policy. They implemented the policy. So like anything, it's the enforcement of the policy. And we know for the first probably 60 days, first 3 months back in the new school, we're going to have a lot of enforcement, and we're going to have to really buckle down on everyone to build those good habits of not using their cell phone during the school day.
I don't know if you follow Ballotpedia at all. It is a very nonpartisan group that takes a look at ballot initiatives around the country in all jurisdictions, from local communities up to statewide initiatives. And they recently had a piece on cell phones in a number of places that have actually passed laws that have banned the use of cell phones in schools.
Yes.
It was I think the number was like 30 some odd that I saw, from statewide prohibitions to local communities.
So the Rhode Island Superintendents Association has supported, limiting the use of cell phones in high school. At the state level, our rep, Lauren Carson, actually introduced in the House a state ban on use of cell phones at high schools and banning them. And I believe one of our local reporters here was asking comments about, did you agree with it, not agree with it? Some people believe, yes, it's important that the state issue a ban, and in that way, it will help communities to implement policies in their own districts. And then others feel that local control is best, and maybe it's not necessary at the state. My view on it is, I do think that it would be powerful if the state did participate in issuing something. And at the same time, though, it must have flexibility and give the local the opportunity to implement policy as it sees fit for its community. So we'll see what happens. I have a strong suspicion it is going to pass this legislature.
It will be interesting to see. I know a number of communities that are dealing with it in one way or another. Westerly is, I think, nearby Stonington, actually, in Connecticut. They're having the middle school kids put their cell phones in a pouch at the beginning of the day, which is an initiative out of the University of Connecticut. I was watching a little bit of the last school committee meeting, and there was a gentleman who got up and was talking about the lack of preparation for kids in our schools for the trades, particularly referencing Quonset or General Dynamics in Quonset, and it's also in Connecticut, and that they were desperate for trades people. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but they're always hiring. What's your response to that? And he was talking about plumbers and electricians, which I don't think is really being done in the schools, although you're preparing kids for vocational school.
So for as far as career tech, we do have in our auto department, we do have students that look into fixing engines, they look into motors, they look into those kind of aspects. We don't have a plumbing, but the fields we have now are those that students have shown an interest. I don't disagree that we do need plumbing, and as a matter of fact, marine trades as well. And I don't know, for those in the audience, we did have a partnership with Electric Boat, and we actually had equipment and models, excuse me, to be able to train our students and prepare them. The challenge was we couldn't get an instructor, and RIDE was trying to be very, supportive in being able to issue emergency certifications, but we could not get a teacher that could help us prep the students to be able to go over to Electric Boat. So we had a partnership with Electric Boat about 4 years ago. It was very difficult, I think, for them as well. Now, on our side, we got everything in place we could. They provided some equipment for us, for things for the children to work on. It was the instructor piece. We also were offered internships, students going from their junior to senior year. That we did put forward for students, but we didn't have very many students that wanted to get in the van and go over to Quonset. I still think it's an opportunity that we could, build on. Again, it's going to take time, and it's going to take money. It's not going to happen overnight, because you do have to have the instructor that's trained to be able to coach the children, to be able to be ready to go over there. It's a very strict work environment, which it should be. And we just need, the support. It's a partnership. So that I'm in agreement with. The other thing is for the gentleman that spoke, I don't know if he was aware of all the programs we already have. As a matter of fact, they're all full or they're over overbooked, meaning that we may have to open extra sections and we have waiting lists. So everything we have in place and the programs we do are very popular. Do I think we could do more if we have the time and we have the money? It doesn't come free. So we have to make sure we have that. We had a partnership with RIMTA. Wendy, I want to say Wendy Mackey was her name. And I believe she's now with Fab Newport. But Wendy helped us in that area that we could actually, and we had coursework and opportunities for our students to become launch operators. And here in Newport, that's a very lucrative and it's a great summer job for students. And it really builds all their skills. It builds their communication skills. It builds their, working with the public. It builds a lot of responsibility. So we had that going on for a while as well. Again, time after school for students to take the courses and to take the training. But Newport's always open to any suggestions. We just need to make sure we have strong partnerships.
Yeah. Interestingly, if you look down in the Westerly area, they have the Education Center, which is funded by a large part by General Dynamics, by Electric Boat.
I know.
And it produces a lot of kids. Maybe they should have one I think there may be one in Woonsocket also.
Yeah, but sorry for interrupting. We tried to replicate that. I've been down to that a couple of times. But we just couldn't, we couldn't find the facility up here and to be able to house it. The most general location is probably where CCRI is, right on the Middletown line over here on Aquidneck Island. And then there was talk at one point off of East Main Road. I can't remember, visiting nurses used to be there at one point off 138, but I believe there's another organization in there. So there were two locations we looked at one point if other communities were interested in being able to model and replicate what's down in Westerly. And I believe you are correct. I think the other one it's either in Pawtucket or it's in Woonsocket.
I think it's in Woonsocket.
Yeah.
Talking about Middletown, how are we still talking about merger?
It's been very quiet. And this is what I mean. So the city council in Newport put forward a referendum about starting a study group, bringing people together from Newport and Middletown. Now, I know I signed up for it a while ago. I have not heard anything further about it. I don't know if they've held interviews. I don't know if they've done anything to form the group. I do know there's a lot of anxious people that would like to participate and move it forward. So that's all I know at this point in time. But all I can do is speak for the Newport Public Schools, and I know for quite a few members on my school committee, we're ready to go and have the conversations. It's at the city and town level. And it appears, there was a date. They tried to meet on a Saturday morning, Middletown and Newport, the council and the city council and the town council, but they couldn't get a quorum. They couldn't get enough people. So that was very challenging in itself. So I don't know what to say. I'm not driving that bus. If I were, we'd already be to California by now.
So. I just have two more pieces that I wanted to cover. Yes, Ryan, two.
Two.
One is test scores. I believe that some of those are coming in. How has Newport done?
Test scores came in quite a while ago. We still have a long way to go. We've seen some improvement. We've seen improvement there, and we've seen improvement in attendance. But we still have a long way to go. And that's why our work with our strategic plan is so important, because we're refocusing and retooling all of us to have that focus on the instruction in the classroom, the new curriculum, implementing the high quality materials that we now purchase. We have English and math, which are fully underway. And now we have social studies and science, who we'll be addressing starting in September. Our director, who oversees teaching and learning, she's already laying the groundwork to get ready for that for next September.
SAT scores included in that, or they just came in recently?
No, SAT, PSAT, they all came in about a month ago.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, yeah. So we're holding our own. We've seen a slight improvement, but not again where we want it.
My last question is attendance. I looked at the attendance tracker and I thought it was interesting. At the beginning of the year, September 4th, at the high school, you were at 92%. On May 27th at the high school, you were at 74.2%. At Thompson, beginning of the year, you were at 96, currently 93.7. And at Pell, which is as of today, you are at 94 and you began the year at 96.1. So those at Thompson and Pell, it's maybe a little drop off. Seems to be substantial at the high school. Is there a reason behind that?
It was senior skip day yesterday.
Oh, was that what it was? Well, let me
May
check.
27th. I know. I went through the roof when I looked at it. The principal got a big exclamation point from me, and he went, "It's senior skip day."
But May 23rd,
What's May 23rd?
85.1.
At least that's better. But yesterday was horrible.
But it seems to have gone down from the low 90s to maybe the mid and lower 80s. Is that typical at this time of year?
It's typical at this time of year. And as I've shared with the committee and in public session, that once February comes, it becomes very challenging at the high school level for multiple reasons. One has to do with jobs, one has to do with graduation credits, one has to do with just teenage life, getting other jobs, etc. But that's where we start to see in February, we start to see a slide.
Can I throw in one more? So we just saw where ICE detained a high school kid, and I forget where it was, but he was going in for everything he did done right, and he went in for what he thought, I think, was a hearing, and that ICE scooped him up. Do you have concerns that ICE will rear its ugly head in Newport?
I always have fear factors about any of our families and students and what will happen. I can't predict that. I just know that in our schools, we do not release our children to anyone except for people that are on those emergency forms. And that thanks to Rebecca Gomez and Marissa Pratello, we are in touch with our Conexión Latin families and friends. So we try to support each other as much as possible.
No incidents so far?
No. No.
Okay, Ryan, I'm done.
All
I could go on for a long time, but that's...
I know, a lot to catch up on, but
yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Superintendent, anything else?
No, we're just, it's a very, very busy time of year. We have a lot of great stuff going on. Today's newsletter is just full of lots of happy news and lots of celebrations. As I shared, we're very proud of our students, all of our students. They're doing amazing things. And this is the time of year. You want to see this going on all year, though. It's kind of like, can we have this going on all year? Because it's kind of like at the end of the year, it's a different feel. But we're very excited, keeping our fingers crossed for getting the keys handed over next Friday, and we'll keep those inspections going in a positive note. And then we go for the big move. So the next time you see me, it will probably be a very empty looking room. So there you go.
Excellent. All right, Superintendent, we'll appreciate it. We will talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, so that is Newport School Superintendent Colleen Burns Jermain. We appreciate her taking the time to join us today. She joins us on the last Wednesday of every month right here at 1:30 p.m. If you have any questions you want us to ask her, you can submit them right on whatsupnoop.com or any topics, or you could email them to us, Ryan at whatsupnuke.com, and we can get them over to her for an answer. If you missed any portion of this interview, want to watch it again, want to share it, all available on whatsupnuke.com. Thanks for watching.